Picture this. It's the end of the month, you open your banking app, you scroll through the transactions, and you do that thing, you know the thing, where you squint at your screen like somehow that's going to change the number. Your paycheck came in 2 weeks ago. It was decent, not life-changing, but decent. And yet here you are, looking at a balance that should not be this low. And the worst part? You can't even really explain where it went. You didn't go on vacation, you didn't buy anything crazy, you just lived. And somehow, living cost you everything you had. If that hits a little too close to home, stay with me, because what I'm about to show you is not a budgeting problem. It's not an income problem. It's something that nobody in your life ever sat you down and explained, and it's quietly costing the average person over $20,000 every single year. My name is Jack, and I spend way too much time thinking about why smart, hard-working people stay broke their entire lives. If you're someone who earns decent money but somehow never seems to get ahead, like the money comes in and just evaporates, hit subscribe and give this video a thumbs up because this channel exists specifically for you. Alright, let's get into it. Here's the thing. Most people have been taught to think about money the wrong way. We've been told that being broke is a math problem. Spend less than you earn. Simple. And technically, yes, the math is simple. But if it were just math, then why does the Federal Reserve's own data show that nearly 40% of Americans can't cover an unexpected $400 expense without borrowing money or selling something? These aren't people who are bad at arithmetic. These are people who are losing a psychological game they didn't even know they were playing. And the centerpiece of that game, the single most expensive mistake I see people make over and over again, is something called lifestyle inflation. And before you say, yeah, I've heard of that, I want you to understand just how brutal this actually is in dollar terms, because I think most people wildly underestimate it. Here's what most people don't realize. Lifestyle inflation doesn't happen because you're reckless. It happens because you're human. Every time your income goes up, your brain does something fascinating. It recalibrates its baseline. What felt like a treat last year feels like a necessity this year. That $60 streaming bundle, the nicer apartment, the habit of just grabbing food instead of cooking. None of these feel like upgrades anymore. They feel like the floor. And that is the trap. Let me show you the math on this, because this is where it gets interesting. Say you're 28 years old. You get a raise. Your take-home pay goes up by $500 a month, which is a solid, realistic raise for a lot of people. Now you've got two choices. Choice 1, you absorb that $500 into your lifestyle. New car payment, better apartment, more dining out. It feels good. You deserve it. Choice 2, you invest that $500 every month into a low-cost index fund, averaging a 9% annual return, which is roughly the S&P 500's historical average going back decades. By the time you're 58, 30 years later, that choice 1 person has a nicer car they don't even remember buying and probably some credit card debt. That choice 2 person, they have just over $1 million from one raise, one decision made once. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but Jack, I need that money now. My rent went up, groceries are expensive, life is expensive. And I hear you. I'm not here to tell you that you shouldn't enjoy your money. But here's what I want you to sit with. Most of the lifestyle upgrades we make after a raise don't actually increase our happiness by that much, and the research backs this up hard. A landmark study out of Princeton, led by Daniel Kahneman and Angus Deaton, both Nobel Prize winners, found that beyond roughly $75,000 to $100,000 in annual income, more money stops meaningfully improving your day-to-day emotional well-being. Now look, that number has shifted a bit with inflation, and it varies by location, but the core finding holds. After a certain point, the additional income you're chasing and spending to feel better doesn't actually make you feel better, not in any lasting way. You adapt, you normalize, and then you need more. Psychologists call this the hedonic treadmill. You run harder, you upgrade faster, and you stay in exactly the same emotional place. The treadmill doesn't care how fast you run. So, what's the actual dollar cost of this? Let me put a real number on it. The average American gets 3 to 4 raises between age 25 and 45. Average raise? About 5% per year when you include job hopping. For someone earning $55,000, that's roughly $150 to $200 a month in additional take-home per raise. If lifestyle inflation absorbs every single one of those raises, which is exactly what happens for most people, and you run that against what consistent investing would have returned, you're looking at somewhere between $18,000 and $25,000 per year in lost future wealth by your mid-40s. That's not a typo. That is the $20,000 mistake. Not one purchase, not one bad month. The slow, comfortable, completely invisible decision to keep leveling up your spending every time your income grows. Here's the thing though, and this is important. The fix is not deprivation. I am not going to tell you to drink bad coffee and never go on vacation. That advice is exhausting, and it doesn't work long term because we're not wired for permanent sacrifice. We're wired for reward. So instead, what actually works is what I call the raise split. Every time your income increases, you commit in advance before the money ever hits your checking account. You split it in half. Half goes to lifestyle. You get to enjoy the raise. Half goes directly to an investment account automatically, so it never touches your hands. You automate it the same week the new pay starts, not next month, the same week. Because here's the brutal truth about financial intentions. The moment money sits in your checking account, it has a target on its back. Your brain will find a reason to spend it every single time. The automatic part isn't just logistical, it's psychological warfare against the version of you that will absolutely rationalize that purchase at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday. Now, you might be thinking, but what if I genuinely need the full raise just to keep up with inflation? That's a fair concern, and if that's genuinely true, then the raise split still applies. You're just splitting the next raise. The point is you create the habit before the lifestyle catches up to the income. Once the lifestyle catches up, it becomes almost impossible to scale back without it feeling like punishment. Think of it like this. Lifestyle inflation is like a slow gas leak in your house. You don't smell it right away. Nothing seems wrong. Life actually feels pretty good, but it's filling the room. And one day you wonder why nothing you do financially ever seems to work, and you can never quite figure out what went wrong because nothing obviously went wrong. You just let the gas keep leaking, raise after raise after raise. Plug the leak first, then fill the room with something better. The wealthiest people I've ever studied, not the loudest ones, not the ones with the flashiest cars, the genuinely wealthy ones, almost all of them share one trait. They made a decision at some point to let their investment account grow faster than their lifestyle. That's it. That's the whole secret. It's not exotic. It's not complicated. It's just a choice that most people never consciously make because nobody ever told them the leak was there. You know now, so go make the choice. If this clicked for you, share it with one person you care about, the one you're thinking of right now who needs to hear this. And if you want to go deeper on the psychology of building real wealth, the next video is right there. I'll see you in it.